Let me introduce you guys to Olympia. Ranked 31st in the world, wasn't supposed to make the Olympic team. Made the Olympic team down every match. Every single match, and I became the youngest Olympic champion in the history of the United States of America in 2008. Let me introduce you guys to Demetrius Johnson, the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. My first encounter with him, he beat me in 2 minutes and 36 seconds. 2 years later, I avenged my loss, becoming the new flyweight champion of the world. Let me introduce you guys to TJ Dillashaw, the greatest bantamweight of all time. But TJ wasn't playing fair, and I still took him out in 32 seconds. Marlon Moraes, you're next. I got a spot for you. That's across my waist. Dana White, you can add another 0 to that check. And UFC, I'm coming for that pound for pound spot.
Hello. This is a resume that's very difficult to beat, especially when you consider Henry Cejudo's upbringing. Cejudo was one of 7 children raised by a single mother, his father an addict. While you're complaining about how you don't have enough food in the fridge, only ingredients, Henry had to share a bed with someone else up until he was provided one by USA Wrestling while participating in a residency program at the US Olympic Training Facility. Entitlement is the last thing Henry had getting in his way. I am certain his mother's work ethic was part of the inspiration that pushed Henry beyond what most could even imagine. But is there more to his secret to greatness? After all, if hard work alone could contrive success, every woman in Africa would likely rule the world. What is Henry doing differently?
What makes the 1%ers of the 1%ers? What makes a legend? And I call it 2 things. What's heart or ability? These are 2 good things to always question. What is your heart? Your heart is, sorry to break it to you guys, it ain't cardiovascular. The heart is the goodness of your mind. It's your passion, your will, your desire, your determination. That's your heart. Something that you want to suffer for in order to obtain it. Now 2 is ability. Ability is either something that you have repped over time and you're good at it, or genetically you're just meant to do this certain thing. So every time when I don't reach my full potential, it's always good to question those 2 things. Henry, where is your heart? Where is your ability? And you got to be honest with yourself. So in order for you guys to become successful, it's okay to question. Question is a good thing. Question your heart, question your ability, and watch you take over the world.
Heart and ability, with an emphasis on being honest with yourself, reflecting what pulls you so that the work comes naturally. This is a story we have all heard, but I believe his next point is far more valuable. Your ability, what you craft or what you were born with, being honest with yourself. Are you being honest with your abilities? Self-awareness is perhaps one of the most valuable commodities in the free market because it allows one to accurately gauge where to place their energy. The same way a hammer could be used to build a home. If the craftsman is not refined in his understanding specific to that tool, he can destroy with it all the same. Actually, that's the likely outcome. Entitlement beyond one's aptitude will destroy you, but if you can gauge your individual condition honestly, not disrespecting yourself by belittling what you are capable of, but also having a realistic gauge to your condition in correlation to the rest of the world, if you can find that balance, the irony will become this rare self-awareness fueled with conviction and passion. With it, the ordinary man will become extraordinary. Not only that, but with adequate gauge of your own aptitude, you can accurately begin to feel another's aptitude in correlation to yours. We see this with materials as well. You may find composites, 2 very different materials synergizing with each other to compensate for each other's weaknesses, which in turn makes a super material. Naturally, this applies to relationships and businesses. Reversely, in stylistic matchup theory, figuring out what your best game is in accordance to another, what their best game is, what strengths to stick to and what strengths to avoid. It truly is tragic in our era of entitlement. Such advice is thought of not thinking big enough, but nothing could be further from the truth. The encouragement should always be to think big as you could possibly imagine, even if the rest of the world thinks it is foolish. That does not matter, so as long as you solely see it in yourself. But paradoxically, the aim should always be to start small, start humble, start real. The plan should not be for 2 days or even 2 years, but for 10, maybe even more. You see now why Cejudo asks you to question your heart. If you don't have a genuine love or pull, how could you possibly put forward diligent effort for that long? Even then, with a genuine passion, you might cave to your human self. You are human after all, but that line is often more mental than it is physical. Here's what Cejudo has to say about it.
The separation of mind and body. As a fighter, when you go through these certain tough world championship fights, you reach a certain stage of giving up. And what you have to do when you reach that certain stage of giving up is you have to find that nirvana, that certain peace, that certain acceptance where the mind and body really have to connect. If you're able to connect yourself when the tough gets going, or you got to weather the storm, or you want to give up, find that certain peace. Find that certain nirvana, because this is what's made a bunch of athletes successful, is the fact that they're able to find that certain peace when the tough gets going.
Second wind. When you're at peak exhaustion, you feel like breaking. This is a phenomenon where suddenly one finds the strength to press on at top performance with less exertion. To go numb, find peace, the nirvana, disregarding what happens to you so as long as you can continue moving forward. The human body is capable of miraculous things, with much of our hindrances being more mental than they are physical. For this king, tapping into a connection between mind and body when he's pushed to an extreme, that is where he finds peace. With it, it becomes a game of which human will give first. For Henry Cejudo, his Olympic medal and world belt dethroning pound-for-pound king still in his prime, it is a testament to his understanding of self. His key to victory was composure, finding peace and continuing his pace despite injuring his leg early on. With this, no one can question how strong Henry Cejudo's mind is. With his victory over TJ Dillashaw, I'm going to punish you for every pound you cut. As a gold medalist Olympic wrestler, he knew exactly what kind of impact TJ's cut would have on him. So, with all of this said, what can you take away from this? If you underestimate yourself, you lose yourself. If you overestimate yourself, you lose others. Henry's greatness is a testament to what the human mind can achieve when it refuses to falter under duress. But beyond that, he emanates a realistic, humble, practical approach towards greatness. It's okay to seem delusional. It's okay if no one believes in you.
World wasn't supposed to make the Olympic team, made the Olympic team down every match, every single match, and I became the youngest Olympic champion in the history of the United States of America.
If in your mind, your approach is humble, patient, practical, taking into consideration an accurate gauge of both your strengths and weaknesses, do not underestimate your power. A single man with such an approach has brought back an entire forest to life. Time patience, self-awareness are the most powerful tools possessed by the human condition. With that understood, if you can enjoy the journey as you walk it, each moment in and of itself will become a victory, for the game has even been won. After all, it has never been the first or the last note, but all the peaks and troughs in between that makes good music. Thank you, Henry Cejudo, for this lesson. If you like more from me, please subscribe and hit the notifications. Thank you if you did. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. It's good karma. And until next time, peace.